You're now going to prepare some report using related tables in a database. Make sure all currency values display in the same currency. That's an important point to remember. All the currencies, if I chose dollar, then it's supposed to be all the currencies mentioned in the database supposed to be in dollar. If it is in rupees, it's supposed to be all in Indian rupees or whatsoever I selected. And are set to 2 decimal places. Okay, those 2 points that we are giving in the beginning to make sure they're applied at the end to the whole database. Using a suitable database package, import sp2append.csv and use the field names and data types as this following. Okay, first of all, so let's open Access, and we're opening it. We have to make sure we're saving it in the right location with the other files that I have it. So I can just copy and paste it, and over here I can name it and then I can create it. Okay, so I have to import the following file. There is a specific way of importing any CSV file into the Access database, which is different than the other ways. First of all, we can close this because we don't need it. We have to go to External Data tab. Over here we can see this part is related with import, over here related with export. Currently we're needing to import, so from File we have to go to the text file. CSV is a text file, so we don't need to import Excel or any other different type. It's currently CSV, which is a type of text file. We have to locate that file, which is sp2append. Okay, we don't need to change anything here. Here we have to make sure one thing, that these are field names and the first row is not a data itself. So we have to make sure by ticking over here that these are headers. Continue to the next one. And one thing here, we have to make sure that we have to choose the primary key. Primary key is actually mentioned over here below the table, which is supposed to be vacancy reference. Then I can just select over vacancy reference, or I can choose the table from here. Before I click on next or finish, I have to go and make sure that my tables or my field names are matching with the data type. So label supposed to be in number, it's fine, I'm not going to change it. I have vacancy into in text. Okay, date. I have a problem here that whenever I'm importing in a date format, that whenever it is a British format or English format, it gives me some error. So if I change this into date type, I'm going to have an error. If you're having that error, then follow my method. If you're having no error showing in your table later, then just keep it as date time. For me currently, I usually have that type of conversion problems. So I usually do it in this way. I make it into a short text because short text accept all type of symbols and characters. I'm sorry, I have to change date time into a short text. Number and okay, number over here, and this one prob wage is supposed to be in currency. Currency, it can be any number. For currently I'm just going to leave it as it is. Then text for 4 times, so 1 2 3 4, and the last one supposed to be boolean, which is yes and no, which is over here. Okay, I am done with this. Next, and then finally they didn't ask me for any specific name, and okay, I didn't get any error. Usually if I got an error, we'll get an extra table. It is called an error and holding the message. For you can see right now my table is imported correctly with the correct date. Let's go and make sure all the details are matching with the table. So the first one is number, fine, text, text, that's okay. The fourth one, closing date, is supposed to be in date. I have to go and change this into date. And I have to make sure the format is TD, triple M, and double Y. So to make sure the format over here, which is this one, okay, and then duration is number. Prop wage supposed to be also currency. I have to go and make sure this is currency, and the format I choose it, I have to choose only one type of currency that I have to use it throughout the whole database. So for example, currently my default currency is in dollar over here, so I'm just going to choose the auto one or the default one. And I have to set it also, the next point I shouldn't forget that it's supposed to be 2 decimal places. This is what's supposed to be 2 places. The following 4 are supposed to be in short text. And finally the last one's supposed to be Boolean, but it's supposed to show only yes and no. Currently what is it showing? Let's save this. You can see it is -1 or 0 for yes and no. We have to make sure that it's supposed to show in yes and no format. Let's save it and make sure that right now the yes, that no becomes 0 and yes become -1. Okay, we're done with this table. We have to save the data and we have to take the evidence. Take a screenshot showing the field names and data types in the table. Insert this screenshot in your evidence. That's supposed to be evidence number 5. Let's make it as we're going to do it, and we can show probably this with the currency, or till here it's also alright, fine. If you need to put extra, you can put it. And evidence 5 over here and paste it. Seems like a large picture. Actually the lower part is not necessary. You can cut it or crop it if you don't need it. Okay, just put this into a new line for the next one. 21. Import the SP to trainer.csv as a new table in your database. Set prior appropriate data types for the data in each field. So let's go first, before we're importing it, let's go and check it. Okay, that's my table, highlighted all, and I double click between any columns. And I can see I have trainer reference, which is can be definitely text, 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 and text, text, and telephone always supposed to be according to the style exam. The ICT exam style is supposed to be always in short text. We have to make sure all of them supposed to be in short text. So we have to import this table. Let's go back to Access or Save and close it. Let's again go and import a new table, CSV new table, in the same location, which is the trainer, because it's open. Okay, next we have to make sure we have a row here, a header. Next I have to make the primary key, make sure what is the primary key over here, as it is the trainer reference. Okay, before we click on finish, let's check all the tables. We see all of them supposed to be short text except the telephone, which is better to be in a short text also. Okay, go to our second table. Let's save the data, nothing to do. Already saved, and take a screenshot showing the field names and data types, insert it into the evidence. Okay. 22. Create a one-to-many relationship between the trainer reference field. So we need a one-to-many relationship between trainer field in the trainer table and the trainer code in the apprentice table. So we have to post it as evidence 7. So let's go to the relationships. We can close this whenever I prefer that we're not needing it, we can close it. So database tools, relationship, you have to add both tables, expand them, and we're needing between two tables, which is trainer ref and trainer code. Over here and trainer ref. So trainer code and trainer ref. So I can drag it either from here to here or from here to here. Let's do it from any side. So that's clearly that is one-to-many relationship, and I can create it just to make sure for the evidence that it is one-to-many relationship. I have to double click, right click on this, and I have to show this as an evidence. Okay, for the next question, we're done with this. Create a columnar data entry, which is a form, using all the fields mentioned. It's a form using all the fields from SP2 apprend table. Okay, so we're using only one table right now. Format the form so that, and we have specific ways to do it. Okay, before we're not allowed to change anything in the tables, so we just directly can go and create the form. Save it, and let's go and create a form. So to create a form, usually we click on form wizard, and we need it to be from SP2 apprend to apprend, and format it in the way so the field headings are consistently aligned to the left in the columnar format. Okay, first let's add all of them. Next, it's supposed to be a columnar, which is mentioned over here. Any specific name given to us here so far? No. And click on finish. Okay, we got the form over here, and which is open here. So the field headings, the field and the field headings over here are supposed to be aligned to the left format. We have to go and make sure all of them are to the left. To make sure, we have to make it into the layout view, and then we will be able to change. Okay, we're done with this. Data entry boxes are appropriately sized for the data of entry. Okay, we can see that some of them are large, some of them are small, so we better make it all one-sized.
Drag them together.
Okay, I believe some of them are going really too up. I can also adjust it from here. So day release field, it's supposed to be using the radio buttons to select either yes or no. These values are to be set by -1 for yes and 0 for no. That's supposed to be for the day release field. So let's get back, and we have to add it by in the design view. And in the design view over here, we will get the option group. Okay, we're going to get labels to add to either yes or no. Next, the default can be shown as yes, doesn't matter. And we have to set values over here. -1 for yes and 0 for no. And do you want to save the value for later use, or do you want to store it in a specific field? Of course, in a specific field, which is the day release field. Okay. Next, it's preferred to be an option button, not a checkbox. And we can name it by day release. Okay, cut. We don't need this, we can delete it. To hold it separately, we can hold them. If we try to hold them from anywhere over here, they will move together. So to hold them separately, you have to click over the gray icon. Okay, let's have a look at it. It's fine. To have more control, we have to go to the design view. Let's go to the next question. Make sure the form display in a single record only. All the fields data are fully visible and the layout consistent with every even spacing between the fields. Evidence 8. Place in your evidence the document screenshot showing the radio buttons have been set and the values stored in the day release field. One thing we have to make sure of this is to be showing in the value that we wanted in the currency. It's supposed to be with 2 decimal. Right now, for the evidence to show them, we have to make sure that this is showing correctly and with okay, and to show that we have to make sure that it is stored in the day release. So you have to go over here and right click on properties and to look only for the information about this frame day release form and take it together with it. Gonna be a little bit big, so we better make it into a new. Use the form created in step 23 to enter the data as the new record. So we have to enter this new record. You have to go first to the form. So we're ready. We can see there are 504 forms. We will go just to create a new one, level 4 software tester. Okay, after we're done, check your data entry for any errors. Make sure it is fully visible and save the data. Just saving data, we can click on the next record and it will be saved automatically. Before I save it, I have to show it in the evidence. Make sure it is available there. Okay, it's over here. It is saved. So my records are increased to 505. The next question, so we're done. Produce a report which contains a new field called employee wage, which is calculated at runtime, displayed as currency. Okay, so we have a new field. We have to create a report. Before we create any report, if the report can contain from different tables and can contain some new field as it is showing right now. So before that, we have to make it as a query. Depending on the query, we're going to create our report. So before any time, remember, whenever you have a report to create, we have to create a query for it. But we have to read the instructions first. To create the employee wage, we have to calculate the probe wage plus 12% of we have to calculate the probe wage plus 12% of the probe wage itself. And the records that's supposed to be showing only in the town is supposed to show Basildon or Braintree, and the duration is supposed to be less than 18. Their releases, yes, shows only the fields: vacancy title, level, day release, duration, closing date, till the employee wage, in order of the data and labels displayed in full. Do not group them. Okay, then let's go to our database. We're done with this, so we're closing it. We're supposed to create first a query. I'm supposed to depend only on one or two tables. So currently what I can see that it is only one table. Which is the SP2 apprent. So the only fields needed over here, let me remove this as I still didn't do it. So the fields that we're going to need it is vacancy till over here. So I have to add them in the right order: vacancy title, level, day release, duration, closing date, and probe wage. Town employer name, and employee wage. Okay, that's the last one that is not available and I have to add it by myself over here. Okay, let's add the the last one. So usually to add an expression, usually write down the name of the expression we needed, which is currently right now employee wage. Make sure of the spelling and everything is correct with capital letters. Okay, and then you add a semicolon over here, or colon, sorry. You add a colon after that. After that, it follows with the expression that is needed. Currently, the expression says the prop wage plus 12% of the prop wage itself. We have to calculate the plus 12% of the prop wage multiplied by the prop wage itself. So to calculate the prop wage plus 12% of the prop wage, we have first to calculate the plus 12% of the prop wage and multiply it with the prop wage itself. To calculate this, we have to 12 plus 100 divided by 100, which will give us 112 divided by 100. 112 divided by 100, 1.12, which will be multiplied by the prop wage. Okay, that's what we're going to do it right now. We're going to use it. Make sure of the spelling prop wage. Okay, whatever is between this type of brackets, they're the data fields that are already available here, or fields already available over here. So prop wage here without any E, I have to make sure I'm writing the correct spelling. And I have to make sure that it is also showing in the column. Let's run it and check. Let's run it and check. It's all over here showing as a employee wage. One thing, the employee wage is also basically a currency, so we have to make sure that it is also shown in the currency format and with the 2 decimal places. Okay, great. And let's check the other criteria. So we're done with these 2 criteria. Let's check. Shows only the records where town is Basildon or Brainy. Okay, let's go to town, which is over here. In the criteria, we have to make sure only that it is Basildon or Braintree. First, let's run it and check that we're having around 505 records. And there are a lot of towns, not only Basildon, there are Meldon, there are Braintree, and we are only wanting Basildon and Braintree. So let's go back again to here and write Basil or in between them. So or Braintree. Let's make sure how many records it became. So it reduced from 505 to 90 record. And all the towns are Basildon or Braintree. Let's go to the next criteria. Duration is less than 18%. So 18% is not included. Only less than 18%, starting from 7 and less. So let's go to duration, and we're going to mention that it is less than 18. So let's try to run it. We will find that all the records in duration, they're less than 17. None of them include 18 or above than 18. 17 and lower than. The next criteria is to set a day release to yes. So we go to the criteria and write down yes. We will notice that even the record number reduced and all the day releases become yes, no become excluded, and only yes will be included, and the records belonging to yes will be only included. So For the rest of the question, we don't need to group the data, and all the rest will be included in the report. For the current query, we can stop over here. As this is step 25, we can name it step 25, so that query we can remember it is referring to this question number. Later when we open the report or create it, we can easily refer to the query number. Right now, let's start to create the report. We go to the report wizard and select all the query that we chosen for query 25 for step 25, and we include all the fields. We have to make sure they're in sequence according to our order. Then we don't need. Next, we don't need to group it, as it is mentioned, we don't need to group, so we can just skip that part and click next. Second, here, next following, we don't need to decide ascending or descending from here, as it is sometimes doesn't work, so we can do it from another place. The next point, it says that it should fit on a single white page, which is mentioned over here. After this, we need to set the page orientation to be landscape, and we click over the, also we shouldn't forget about the heading. The name supposed to be, we can copy and paste the name or the heading or the title and then finish. Okay, we're done with this point. We got the report over here, but we can notice that it needs a little bit of adjusting. We can notice some of the hashtag means the column is quite tight and we need to adjust it, and we have to make sure that also they're in the right order as they mentioned to us. So we can go over here and we can start to arrange it. One thing also we can do is that we can start to sort the data accordingly. So to do this, we go to the design view and we go over design over here, and then there is a group here, group and sort. We can say that we're going to sort it, add a sort. So the first criteria for sorting, which is ascending order of town. So and then secondly, descending order of duration. So ascending order of town, we select town. We're supposed to be A2, so it is ascending. The second, duration. Okay, it is duration, and it's supposed to be descending, which is from largest to smallest. We close it and make sure it is working, so we can see that it is working. Yep. After this, we have to make sure that the IGCSE vacancies supposed to be in the larger font. So we can go over here and increase the volume or the font size a little bit. We have to make sure it is in the right view, and then we will be able to increase the volume or adjust the font size. Okay, let's choose 24. Sounds fine. The next point, calculate the average duration and places this at the end of the report below the duration column. But before this, we have to make sure that those sequence are matching exactly with the columns that we have it in the report. And let me check, I believe all of them in the right column. Okay, and after that, let's carry on and start to arrange the columns. And to do this, we can stay in the same layout view, and we can start to adjust the columns, expand whatever is hidden and shrink whatever it doesn't need that much space. So let's get back again to our question and where we stopped. So we have to calculate the average duration. Right now it is clear and we can place the average duration below the column of duration. To do this, we can go to design view, and over the duration label we can right click on total and click over the average. We will see that the label appeared in the report footer. The difference between the report footer and the page footer, that whatever located in the page footer will be repeated on each page, but in the report footer it will be repeated only on the last page. So we just need average to be on the last page. Let's have a look, and it is appearing below the duration. And then display the average duration as an integer. That's supposed to be not a decimal number. So to do this, right click on properties and make sure that it is the format is showing in a fixed number or a standard number. And this with the 0 decimal number. So after that, let's add the average duration on the left side of the value. It's a label, we should mention it. We go to the design view and we choose the label from the design tab and draw it just to the left side of the value. And let's have a look. Let's adjust it and let's check it. This okay, and we can adjust it more from the layout view. We can make it bold if we want to, or adjust it according to our preferences. Mainly it's supposed to be to the left side. So for the next question, put your name, center number and candidate number in the same position on every page of the report. So as it is on every page, then it's supposed to be added to the page footer. Okay, we're going to drag a label and we're going to center it or any position as they didn't mention the alignment. We put the name, the center number and the candidate number. And we can see that it is added on every page. We can centralize it or align it properly. Okay, and then finally just save it and print your report and make sure that you have entered this on every single page of the report. To make sure of this, we can go to the print preview and we can see everything is set properly. Let's check the next page, and it is also showing on the next page and the average is showing on the last page. And then finally we can print it out. So moving to the next question, we have to create a report produced from two tables. Whenever we have to create a report produced from two tables, we have to start it first from a query. To do this, first we have to add a query design and add both tables. And from these two tables we have to look at the criteria, what is mentioned in the question. So let's move to show only the fields like vacancy reference, level, vacancy title, duration, training, and so on. Let's try to add them one by one. We have to make sure they're in the same sequence. Do not forget not to group the data, but that we can do it later. For right now, let's add this criteria, which is the level supposed to be 3 or more. To do this, larger than or equal, as 3 is supposed to be included. Let's run it and we can check out that 3 or higher than 3 is the levels are included. We can notice also the records reduced to 215. Let's add the next criteria. Vacancy title supposed to include the text care. So in between or after or before, it's supposed to have the word care. Whatever vacancy have the word care, it's supposed to be included, and the rest of them supposed to be excluded. So to do this, we can go to the vacancy title and add the wildcard, which is star care, and another wildcard, a star. So the care is supposed to be included in between them. And here we can see that the records reduced to 31. For the remaining questions, we can add it later in the report itself. Right now, let's save the query under the name step 26, and let's close it. And right now, let's create a report. To create the report, we can use the same field that, go to report wizard and select the query step 26 and add all the fields and make sure that it is in the same sequence. We don't need to group over here as it is mentioned in the question. And secondly, ascending, descending, we don't need to decide it from here as we can decide it much better from the later place. Also, we need to make the page orientation to be on portrait and a single page. So this is single page and it's supposed to be portrait orientation, which is already finish. And before we finish, we have to put the title and click on finish. We have to make sure the title is showing a little bit in larger font. To do this, we just can go to the layout view, or no need to be in the layout view, and we can just increase the font just to make sure that it is fully visible. You have to make it in the layout view and we have to extend it. Make sure that the name, center number, candidate number is showing on every report. So to do this point, we have to adjust the report and we have to add in the design view, especially in the page footer, to be showing on each side. Try to adjust whatever is there and put the page footer. Add the label and add the name, center number, and candidate number. Let's have a look how it is looking. Let's make it in center alignment. Have a look. And okay, after this, let's sort the data. Before that, we can also adjust it and make it in the right alignment and position. To do this, we just can click over the right and left arrow on the keyboard and we can select them and arrange them. Make sure that everything should be visible, nothing overlapped or cut or not visible. Right now, let's go and sort the data in ascending order of the level. So to do this, we can go to design view, and from the design view over here we have group and sort. So let's click on sort and make sure that it is the level in from largest to the smallest. Close it and let's go and check it. Okay, the level is showing from 6 and below, after that reducing. Okay, we're done with that point, so save it and print your report card. And we can see everything is looking good. Make sure that everything is visible, included also. Close it and print it. Finally, in the next question, export the report created at the step 26 in PDF file format, and then save it in your working area. And to do this, we have to go back to the same query we did it in step 26 and right click on it and export in the PDF or XPS. We can choose the extension that we want. Currently it is by default in PDF and in our location area or working area. Okay, we're done. It is exported and we can find that it is in our working area. After that, the last evidence, place in your evidence a screenshot to show the exported file in your working area, and make sure the evidence is of the file type, means the PDF file is supposed to be also mentioned and showing. To do this, we have to go back to our working area and take a screenshot for the file, but make sure that the extension .pdf is showing, and just paste it over here. So that was the last question. I hope you enjoyed it and see you in the next paper.